This is Kerry King's favorite Metallica song. It contains more F-bombs than the next 4 albums combined, and is the last studio recording of Cliff Burton the world would hear. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Damage Incorporated. Or as everybody simply calls it, Damage Inc., the closing track on Master of Puppets and the final chapter of the Burton era. On the Metallica spectrum, this one easily takes the extremist of the extremes, right up there with Fight Fire with Fire, Whiplash, and Dyer's Eve. And on the opposite end is stuff like Nothing Else Matters, Mama Said, The Lawman's Lyric, The Unforgiven 2. Yeah, the same band wrote those. And I'm pretty sure when Load dropped, the first song many frustrated fans turned to afterwards was Damage Inc. Because it's purest thrash, raw, aggressive, and unmatched by anything Metallica did later. Dyer's Eve came close, but there's something, primal about Damage Inc. that makes it one of a kind. No wonder Kerry King loved it and admitted he's so jealous he did not write that riff. Not sure exactly which riff he meant because there's at least 2 killer ones in Damage Inc. that we'll take a look at, but he probably meant the main one because zeros. Damage Incorporated might be the most zero-y Metallica ever gone. About 90% of all the notes in the song is the open low E, including 8 consecutive bars under the solo, which is probably their biggest zero streak ever. So with this primal quality and this freight train energy, this isn't a sound that everyone, especially new to thrash, falls in love with right away. My first encounter with Damage Incorporated was a live version from Paris 2003, from Some Kind of Monster EP. And honestly, I kinda hated it. I thought, man, that must be the most awful vocal line ever. It was probably just the time when James just started to get into singing the lack of performances again after rehab, St. Anger and stuff. And then, of course, I got to the studio recording. But because of that rough first impression, Damage Incorporated took the longest to grow on me from all the 80s Metallica stuff. And the turning point was a part of the song they never played live. In fact, it remains the last piece by Cliff Burton to be performed. The intro. It does not sound like bass at all, but hey, it's Cliff Burton we're talking about, a guitarist trapped in a bassist's body, as James once said, and even more than that, he's the guy who brought harmonies and progressiveness to Metallica. With each new record, his bass experiments expanded, picking at Orion and Damage Inc. But unlike Orion, which was built around Cliff's ideas, Damage is the opposite case. He just had this little fun piece that was a variation on Bach's Comes with Death. And it's almost unrecognizable from the original. Cliff really made it his own, basically. Which he was kind of glad about, not like Bach was gonna copyright him, but... so anyway, they simply attached it to Damage Incorporated, which was already a done song, the shortest one, and pretty contrasted to the intro, which made the effect even stronger. Which reminds me of the case with Fight Fire with Fire, which is also a variation on an old piece by Cliff. He played the acoustic guitar there. But the problem is that nobody really remembers how Cliff did it. Even Cliff himself was not sure about how many tracks he did there, 8 or 12. We don't know which effects he used. There's certainly delay in there, but to achieve that swelling effect, some suggest it's reversed. Or he used the volume knob on the bass, or he used his wah pedal as the volume pedal. You can do that too if you're smart enough. He was, or he did some combination. But anyway, that's a masterpiece that I once tried to transcribe and play in bass. Man, that was 10 years ago. And right now I'm revisiting it, so stay tuned. But in short, what I think about the intro. According to Cliff, there's at least 8 tracks there, but there's only 3 distinct voicings. The others could be just doubles and everything. One that's a bassy one, the low one, and 2 high ones in higher register, with some harmonics that reach outside the bass range. There's also some slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, but in general, it's an 8-bar progression in G major. And even though it feels really messy, a lot of harmonies, intervals, it's actually mostly power chords. It's all just root, fifths, and some octaves. So yeah, that's the Burton magic for you, and he was just 23. And this intro is the only really audible part of the whole song. Out of 8 songs from Master of Puppets, we have the stamps for 6, except for Leper and Damage. But for Leper, we have the rough mix with the really loud bass, which I also isolated and transcribed and made a video about. Watch it after finishing this one. And so for the Master of Puppets record, only Damage Incorporated remained a mystery. Not anymore. With the help of the bass-enhanced version of the song from the Metallica Enhanced channel, I managed to separate the bass track fairly well and transcribe it. In short, there's not much of a crazy stuff. Cliff more or less doubled the guitar with some of his little variations, little mistakes, dare I say. And because of that, on top of being pretty buried, we cannot really hear that, because there's such a wall of sound of all the tight James's guitars that even thunder bass of Cliff cannot really break through. If anything, you can check out the full isolated track with bass steps in description. So except these little nuances that actually make Cliff Burton's touch, there's no big discoveries about Damage Incorporated bass part. Except one little disappointment. For years, I believe there's an extra bass in the bridge of Damage Incorporated. I'm talking about that low, rumbling E sound that feels too low as for the guitar. Yeah, James also plays the open E power chord in that bridge, but it still feels like there's something else going on there. And of all the rhythmic guitar parts, only this power chord is not present in the rough mix of the song. And you know what's not there too? The bass. And that sound reminds me of the intro from Orion, which makes sense. Both are on the same record, and they even could have used the same bit from Orion and put it in Damage Incorporated bridge to give it more depth. And it fits perfectly despite the difference in the tempo. Orion is much slower, but it's an E key in both cases, just long power chord. Let's take the Damage Incorporated rough mix and put Orion intro in there. To me, it's pretty close to the final version, so it all comes together, right? But the more I listen to it, the more I feel like it's the guitar. And this extra lowerness could be some sort of a sonic illusion, like, you know, when you have this inverted power chord, there's this ghost octave beneath it, so it feels much lower. Or, again, it's the bass that adds in there. We have the bass in the final mix, and it starts with a strong E accent. Dun. And sometimes it's not about what you play, but how you play. Just look at how James is lashing out on guitar. And so it just could be the most powerful power chord ever, combined with Cliff doing the same on the bass, so that's how it worked out. There's still a chance the extra bass is there too, but more chances are that I'm just in denial. What do you think? And yeah, speaking about that kick-ass riff, I guess the technique is called Broken Gallops, and it's rumored to be written by Kirk Hammett, although I could not find the original source. In fact, I cannot really find anything in Google these days. I should have kept that link from 10 years ago. But if that's true, take that, Mustaine. And by the way, the demo version of the riff was more tamed, was more palm muted, and with whatever the hell Lars was doing there. And since we're talking riffs and demos, let's go back to the main one, the one that Kerry King probably loves the most. And And did you know that this riff, alongside this solo on top of it, was initially part of another Metallica song? That's right, that's the demo of Disposable Heroes, recorded in late June 1985, while the full Damaging demo with this riff was in late August. Which means that sometime in July and early August, James and Lars figured, man, that riff is too kick-ass to be just an afterthought, so let's put it in the front and make it the main one. And yeah, that was the right choice. And of course, how could we not mention this epic riff tape? And the only real lyric there was the title of the track, which is actually really normal for Metallica. James collects cool phrases that actually lead to whole lyrics. And speaking of the lyrics, you might have felt the song is pretty angry. Well, it has 3 F-bombs. But the fact that James used the very sentence from it in another song, the title track from Saint Anger, as the chorus, is the proof that Damage Incorporated is the real rage anthem that Metallica even drew inspiration from for the album that's literally called like that. And so I guess it's no coincidence that in another track from the album, Frantic, you can hear a familiar riff. Remember I mentioned the video about Live on Messiah? You can watch it here. And if you liked it, push that like and you can support me via the links in description. Thank you and see you next time, friends.